Well, hi, you look kind of lost, but I think we just found you putting weird things into your YouTube search and you came across this channel and wow, aren't you lucky? Because I'm doing another criminology one-on-one session, which is technically more criminal psychology one-on-one session, but this one doesn't really fit any of the profiles. Because what me, Maja, whenever I was a couple of years younger than this, I did masters in criminology and criminal psychology. And I'm clearly more interested in the second part of it. We made choices. It's fine. We move on. Nobody really teaches you about Rorschach test at uni in general, I mean in life, but mostly at uni. There's like one page in one of the criminal psychology books that kind of mentions it. It's like, hey, this exists. However, people on the internet love this shit, and a lot of you, including me, before this video, didn't know much about it, didn't know how it came about, didn't know what it was supposed to actually portray, but it can portray so many things. So, without further ado, let's dive straight in, and then at the end of this video, we do this test together, and you realize who I am as a person. Or I don't share my results and you never know. Before telling you about Rorschach and about the guy that developed the test and how he has done that, let me put you into the shoes of the assessment psychologist and this guy applying for a job to work with young children. So Victor Norris passed all of the interviews, passed all of his assessments with flying colors. All of the personality tests, everything else has shown that he would be perfect for this job. So Caroline Hill, who was working as the assessment psychologist in Chicago while Victor Norris was applying, thought, let's give him one last test. This has worked as a charm before. I'm gonna show him 10 cardboard pictures of ink blots. So Rorschach test consists of these cardboards with parallel ink blots, some of them in color, some of them just black and white, and different people see different things through them. So Caroline was like, this can be actually perfect for me to just actually assess and, confirm that even though this person has passed all of the personality tests, they're actually a perfect fit because they are to work with young children. After Victor Norris has been put through this, they shake hands, they say goodbye, she says like she's gonna keep in touch with him, let him know how he has succeeded, and she goes back to her notepad piece of paper to rate this test out. And at this point, she is doing this for the sake of admin, because she has already noticed during the test that what this guy has seen wasn't really normal. It kind of already struck some red flags. So during this test, Caroline would have only prompted him to say, what can you see, what could this be when looking at these symmetrical blots? And Norris to this, to the majority of these images, has responding, giving very sexual responses, describing the elaborate sexual violence scenes and often showing that females have been destroyed and like violently abused in these images. And Caroline was like, okay, this is not the usual, but sure, this is what you see in these images. So obviously afterwards, she has gone, scored it, and realized like we can never let this person work with children. And this in particular is interesting on so many levels, because as we know, Victor Norris has performed well on all of the other tests, but here his persona seems to have broken down. He seems to have stayed away from giving the bland answers he usually gave on the other tests, and has completely misunderstood or understood a task where he was just actually giving what he saw in these pictures. It just appeared that what he saw kind of makes him a dangerous human to work around children. And it's also interesting because Caroline Hill in this case couldn't report him. This can't even be used as a polygraph test, even though polygraphs, as we know, aren't the perfect method of testing in police interrogations, for example. But just as other tests that haven't been standardized, Caroline couldn't have just gone to the police and reported this based on his Rorschach test. The only thing she could do is reject him for these job positions. And the further interesting thing about this is that Caroline Hill actually got a call from a therapist 11 years later saying that they have been seeing this guy Victor Norris for about 2 years and they just have some questions and they know that she is a psychologist that has assessed him then. And they're like, hey, do you maybe remember this guy? And she was like, yeah, say no more. This guy has literally been on my mind for like 11 years. And this therapist has been extremely shocked that Caroline could actually gather all of this from Rorschach test because he said it took him 2 years to even come to a slight conclusion of maybe consulting somebody else to see, what therapy is best suited for Victor Norris. Now, moving on from Victor Norris and Caroline Hill, that is obviously just one example of how Rorschach tests can be used. So, who was the guy behind the test? Well, Hermann Rorschach was a Swiss psychologist who, since young age, was playing with flexography, or the art of using ink and using ink blots to form these different symmetrical figures, and he realized soon after doing research, after actually studying this in further detail, that this can be helpful to actually analyze people's personalities, because different people would see different things in these blots. And he further studied this and studied it on 400 patients, 300 of them being mental patients and 100 control subjects. And in 1921 he published a book, Psychodiagnostic, and it had 10 of his ink blots that were said to have the highest diagnostic value. Unfortunately, that book didn't yield as much attention, wasn't as much of a success. That is until he died just a year after publishing it, when he was only 38 years old. And ever since then, people have kind of paid it more and more attention and have developed different scoring systems. And soon, this test, as mentioned, even though it wasn't standardized, it isn't used in every single investigation, it isn't used in every single job interview, is still one of the most famous psychological tests. So what does the test entail? As mentioned, it is 10 ink blots, so it's different figures in color, in black and white, or in gray, that the tester chooses to show their subject, so whoever that be. As I mentioned, usually it is either trying to decide on the personality of a suspect, or it is job interviews, when the candidate seems to be passing everything else with the flying colors. And that's the part that truly fascinates me with Rorschach tests, because it seems like even though people have clearly lied on so many other standardized tests, this is the one where they actually choose to say what they see, and some part of their personality chooses to pop out, even though they probably know subconsciously. They're saying like, oh yeah, I see all of these 10 ink blots are just sexual to me, is not the best thing when applying, for example, for a job to work with young children. So that's why I just find this so fascinating. It's kind of like exploiting like the hidden layer of your personality. You let me know if you are actually, a qualified psychologist, psychiatrist, you let me know how is that done, because I just found that to be so bizarre on so many levels. But I have actually done it myself before sitting here on this chair today, and I haven't seen anything sexual in the blots. However, I've seen like different things, like the colors represent different like animals for me. And even when I have done, I think I've got like 5 out of 10, which says like I'm kind of moderately disturbed. I was like, okay, I don't like this. I've just seen weird animals in this. How does that mean that? So even for me, even though I wasn't being like, oh yeah, I see like vaginas in 10 ink blots, even for me, it kind of decided, she was kind of disturbed. I was like, but what was I supposed to see? Onto the topic. The test takers can actually choose the position that they show them these ink blots. So obviously they can look like completely different things from the side as well as upside down. So people seeing them from different perspectives can obviously see different things. And it's not standardized in a way that the test takers can show them these pictures. They would just be asked, what can you see? And that the test taker can just talk however long, describe whatever they can see, describe different things they can see. And the psychologist or like psychiatrist would just be making notes. So again, it can be multiple interpretations. Also, the test takers can choose to focus on different parts of the picture. So they can choose to focus on just one side, the other side different parts, or just the picture as a whole. A lot of things you see when you do the multiple choice test online is making me believe some people simply see the colors, so they don't even see the figures in like any of these ink blots. And then once the answers were given, people giving you the test can actually ask like some prompting questions to kind of get more elaborate answers. What's taken into consideration after you take these tests is a lot of variety of different things. So for example, how long have you taken to describe one ink blot versus the other? Have you added any extra information that maybe popped into your head after you have seen that ink blot? Or like, hey, yeah, you see like number 1? Yeah, actually this popped up into my head and I think that this might actually be it. Which is such a problem of the overthinkers that I'm so familiar with. And like some of them just stick into my head. I'm like, how have some people seen this? How? Then these factors that are known as determinants. So has somebody described a particular location, a particular color, a particular gender, a particular person? when looking at these random ink blots. When talking about the location, we are talking about how much of the ink blots has been analyzed by the subject. What's mostly looked into is how they actually describe the image to begin with, but then also the originality of certain responses. So obviously in the case of Caroline Hill and Victor Norris, she has immediately remembered the guy because the way he responded was something she has never heard before, and it was highly disturbing and not a very usual thing that people see in those images. So obviously for her, that sort of sparked some red flags. As I mentioned before, there are different concerns when it comes to Rorschach test because it is not really standardized. So the biggest concerns have been around its scoring system. The most commonly used one is the one established by Exner in 1973. But even with this, there are multiple codes of what subjects can see. So they can see nature, animal, abstract, clothing, human, fire, and X-ray, to just again name a few. So there is again even more interpretations that people have seen. So this led to questioning the validity and reliability of the test. Validity meaning like the test can't actually help you determinately identify different psychological issues. So you can't accurately identify most psychological disorders through the Rorschach test. And when it comes to reliability, two clinicians can come to completely different conclusions looking at the same test, making it, well, technically not applicable in court, or Caroline Hill couldn't report Norris to the police exactly because of this. And when it comes to Exner's system, it was also criticized for kind of overly analyzing people with psychological disorder, which obviously isn't something you would want to do. The scoring system was said to have had errors that involve people overdiagnosing others with psychotic disorders. Again, just to put it into perspective, when we're talking about location, it is again how much of the ink blot has the subject used. So have they used like just different parts, just the sides? Are they using something more in general than the others? And then there is a markup called DD, and that is if something is uncommonly described or unusual detail was used. And then obviously, again, it kind of just tells you that the scoring system might be faulty, because if an individual has more of the DDs, they're mostly seeing something unusual. That can indicate some maladjustment within that individual. Another thing that I find fascinating is the cultural differences. Of course, this kind of again affects the reliability and the validity of these tests. But while analyzing this through the Exner data, they have discovered that form is often the only determinant expressed by European subjects, while color is less frequent than with American subjects, for example. Through the years, and I think in future as well, because this is super interesting, people have been working on different scoring systems, and the most recent one is developed by Johnny Mihura in 2013, and this is called Rorschach Performance Assessment System. From everything I have seen online, this is the most bizarre and the most complicated coding that I have yet to see, and it kind of again just goes to say that this test just isn't standardized enough. So I think that in the light of all this criticism, it's obviously important to go back to what Rorschach test and what Hermann Rorschach himself actually intended this to be, and that is that he intended it to be a perceptual kind of test, not a diagnostic one. He was the son of the drawing artist, so he implemented this in his tests, and only then afterwards went towards the more psychological view. It's important to think of it as more of a categorizing thing, so people with different types of personality will show different systematic differences when it comes to answering these tests. And it's exactly going back to the beginning of the story about what that was essentially about. It's two people from completely different professions looking at the exact same subject and seeing the same thing, putting him into the same category, the same red flags sparking up. Or let's say if somebody was to be institutionalized, then you can kind of compare the patients based on them maybe seeing the exact same sexual thing when looking at the Rorschach test and categorizing them based on that. And I love how this article put it, that it is just like hypnosis, it is like going around our conscious defenses to reveal what we don't know we know or don't want to know. So now let's do that test to see what you don't want to know about yourself, about your life. Let's do it. I'll link it below so you can do it with me. There are different ones for free online. Some of them are kind of actually more inclined because again, it's not like somebody's asking you questions and you're elaborating on them. So it's more of a like multiple choice thing, which again isn't super accurate, but hey, we're doing it for fun now. We're doing it so you discover if you're disturbed or not. Cool? Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna use this one because it gives me the most extensive multiple choice offering, so it's kind of as if I'm like telling it myself. Okay, question 1 of 10. I see a bet here, there's no like other way. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip them the other way around just to see like what other people might see as well, because there's only one answer for me when I see this one. Apparently people see bear, cat, dog, bat, beetle. Wow, okay. And the animal can be moving for some reason. For me, it's like a static, like in herbarium or whatever you call those things. Cool, so yeah, holding blood. Wow, some people associate it with like concepts. I think I have an imagination, but I don't see what some people see, like love, power, friendship, loyalty. Okay, next picture. Why are there so many ads on this thing? Okay, this is the most confusing one for me. Okay, let's flip it. Let's see what others can see. Okay, from this one, it kind of looks like a fly. This is definitely the most complex one for me, because I don't see one definite thing. Oh, now I see it completely differently. Now I see two elephants. Before I would see like two abstract figures with like kind of clown-like because of the red. But now I see like two elephants with trunks and then whatever this red thing is on top of them. Okay, so which one is it? People see mythological creatures? Oh my god. Okay, so the whole in blood, see if it's an animal. Okay, third one. Okay, let's see this from different perspectives. Oh, okay, you see, it's a completely different thing for me when I see it from this angle than I see it from this. So again, if like you have been tested on this, they have flipped it around for you, you fucked. Okay, so here I see people like holding something, and then again I completely ignore the red. Like the red doesn't mean shit for me. So which one is it? They're moving. They're moving. They're moving. Yeah, let's say they're moving. Picture 4. Okay, let's see if I can see different things. Okay, this way this thing has eyes. God. This is another one that has been like so difficult for me. Well, why does it have eyes now when I see it? Jesus, what is this? This is really abstract for me, this one. Like, I don't see one thing in particular. So, which one describes it? And again, I look at it always as a whole, and that's what's my main problem with these. Yes, let's put mythological, because I have no fucking clue what this is. So, yeah, motionless, whatever. Cool. Question 5. Okay, for me, this is a moth, and that's it. It can only be a moth. Any perspective, I can see this. It's like a moth or a butterfly. That's it. Boom. Holding blood. The motionless. Yeah, the motionless. Fuck it. 6. Oh god, I hate this so much. I have no clue. This is like, it's a rug. Fuck it, it's a rug. But when I flipped it, I can kind of see how certain perverts would see a vagina out of it. But no, this is a rug. Where is the rug? Okay. Furniture item. Yeah, you're a rug. That's it. What have you seen? It would be so interesting. Drop down in the comments, like, what have you seen for each and every picture? Are you looking at me like I'm fucking crazy for this? This one for me has always been super abstract as well. Like, I don't see people, I don't see animals, I just see... Can you just put color in everything? Color? Is there a color? Just grey. I just see grey. No, I don't associate to concepts. I just see grey. Which one is it then? Landscape. It's not a landscape, it's just a fucking color. I hate this test. Okay, here I saw different things at different times. But I see like two bears climbing the thing from the sides, so I see animals moving. Which one is it? Yeah, moving, running, jumping. Cool, that was the easiest one. This one again, I just see colors. I see colors. I see maybe like flames, but how are flames green? So maybe that upper thing would be like a flame of fire. But yeah, where is this is pissing me off now. Okay, landscape. It's not landscape though. How do people see vaginas from this? Because I don't. But then, okay, I see partially this one. I see some spiders. That's it. I see part. Reminds me of shape of an animal. Motionless. Okay, let's see how I have done. Result. Most probably you possess above average intelligence level, all-embracing mindset. How do you know that? You're able to correctly understand the real situation, to assess the reality critically, but a high predisposition to excessive self-criticism can bring you a lot of inconvenience. Yeah boy. In a stressful situation, your logic allows you to quickly find the right solution. Nope, I cannot deal with stress. I crumble under stress. This test is shy. You're a mature person. Nope. Clearly understanding and accepting your inner world, your needs and desires. You're able to sympathize and empathize. You're interested in the emotions of your nearest and dearest. That is the only correct part so far. You aspire to do something unusual and original, combining ideas and solutions. Okay, this paragraph wins. This paragraph is who I am as a person. You're not prone to rapid changes in lifestyle. Okay, change. First, prefer to weigh everything carefully and then get involved in an adventure. Yeah, okay, partially correct. You see what I mean? So, as we have seen, that can be kind of faulty. That was partially correct for me personally, but then again, I just find it so confusing. How different people see so many different things? How can I, looking from it, like from different perspectives, see so many different things? What does it all mean? Why do when I see red, I don't see it connecting to the picture? Does that tell something about me? If any psychologists are listening to this, please clarify all of this for me in comments. Just email me. I'll do another video clarifying it for the people. I just find it so fucking bizarre. And I also understand why they don't teach me that for my masters. Why don't they base everything on this? But it does something. It is partially correct. But yes, again, maybe don't use it when diagnosing patients. Thinking about it from the, Maja quit her office job perspective, it sounds super useful when thinking about using it for job interviews. In order to be able to, again, categorize different candidates and realize, hey, which pool we should never go to and which pool might a therapist call me about one day because they're like in Broadmoor or some shit. But drop me down in the comments, what did you think about this? What were your results? If you have done it yourself, did it nail your personality 100%? And if not, why do you think that is? Did you cheat on it? But cool. But until the next one, I have nothing else to tell you and nothing else to say. So, this is a exit, this is a goodbye, this is hasta la vista, goodbye. Bye, girl. Bye! Oh, good stretch, have a good stretch.